Secret friends, unite!
Hey gang, welcome back to Secret Friends Unite. Oops, all Thunderdome. This is episode 572. This is, of course, our show where we snag a topic, something of the moment, and break it down in about 30 minutes, 30 to 40 minutes-ish. And I am super psyched. I'm joined this week by, I was just telling this guy about this in the pre-roll, about what a fan I am of what he does. My guest is Ryan Airy of Screen Crush. Ryan, thank you for being here, man. How are you tonight?
I'm great, Charlie. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this is an exciting episode. We've got something coming up that I've been really psyched about since this was announced maybe 2 years ago. I'm not even 100% certain, but Spider-Noir, or Spider-Man Noir, if you prefer, is, and Ryan, correct me if I'm wrong, going back to 1977. Is this the first live-action Spider-Man television program that's been, obviously on the small screen, or am I totally forgetting something?
I believe it was 77. Yeah, there was an American Spider-Man show that lasted for less than a season, and then there was the Japanese show, which has a roundabout connection to Power Rangers, but...
Right. Yeah. So, I'm kind of psyched about this, but we're going to get into that. But first and foremost, I'll put in a very quick plug because I want to talk about this show. Want to give some love and respect to the folks over on our Secret Friends Unite Patreon squad over at patreon.com/Secret Friends Unite, where you do get exclusive shows like the Bad Movies podcast my wife and I, April, do. The Facts Geek Life, my partner and Peter and I are currently wrapping up talking about Ron Marsh Battlestar Galactica. All of our shows come out early, our regular program. So this show, for example, you get it on a Thursday, but Patreons hear it on a Tuesday. It works this week. Sign up for free. We'd love to have you just follow our feed. But you can stay on board for as little as 50% off your first month and as little as $2 moving forward. So it's a lot of great entertainment, 12 great years of entertainment going back, hundreds of hours of fun pop culture podcasts. So we'd love to have you on board. Patreon.com/Secret Friends Unite. All right. Let's party. Let's talk about Spider-Noir. You got it. The basics, I kind of tiptoed around it, but this is a noir-style superhero television show. It is on Amazon Prime Video, which you probably have, whether you like it or hate it or not. I mean, I know I'm beholden to Amazon Prime.
Most people accidentally have it.
I know, exactly.
Yeah.
Which definitely helps people get out there and see stuff. So, again, based on the Marvel character comics, Spider-Man Noir, which has been around since I believe about 2009. Yeah. Hugely favorite character of mine. During my cosplay days, this was the Spider-Man costume I had because I'm 6'4", about 250. I do not look like Peter Parker, who is 5'9" and about 165. So this is the cosplay for people like me. But anyway, the character is a private investigator and a superhero in the 1930s New York. Obviously not on the Earth where, 616 Earth, if you prefer, where we see quote unquote normal Spider-Man. He is grappling with his past. Our showrunners are Oren Uziel and Steve Lightfoot. I'm not familiar with their work, but they probably do a bunch of great stuff that I don't even know about. Again, part of the Sony Spider-Man universe. Some people call it the Spumco, which I'm fond of saying, but this is called the SSU. Nicolas Cage is Ben Reilly / The Spider in his first lead role in a television series. Guess I didn't realize that. Lamorne Morris, who is great on New Girl and other things that I enjoy. Lee Jun Lee, Karen Rodriguez, Abraham Papula, Jack Houston, and the spectacular Brendan Gleeson also star. This came out just a few days ago, as of when we're recording this, and yeah, so globally released here at the end of May. And the series is fairly uniquely available in both black and white and color versions. I've been kind of going back and forth. How about Ryan? You said you'd got a screener, so you'd obviously watch this. Did you dabble in the black and white and the color? Or did you stick with one?
I for the most part watched it in color just because when you do analysis for something, it's kind of better to use the color version so you can catch details you might have missed. But I much prefer the black and white.
Yeah, I agree. And then and I'll talk about it a little bit in my notes, but my upstairs TV where I was reviewing it today made switching difficult, but my downstairs TV, I kind of bounce back and forth. But I like it in color too, particularly since everything seems to be I talk about this all the time, everything seems to be very dark looking at it in all modern television. So when it's black and white, it's just that much darker. So you turn the lights off and draw on the shades, and it's distracting. People are really liking this. I believe in the Rotten Tomatoes world, we're at about 90 or 91%. So it's popular. People are digging on it, and they're liking Cage's performance. It's funny. My partner Kurt, who I usually record with, is like, I can't watch it. I can't take Cage. And I'm like, I think he's kind of found a sweet spot here. You know, I mean, this role, and plus he played the role in the animated Spider-Verse films. My God, when did that last movie come out? Like 4 or 5 years ago? Was it longer?
3 years ago, yeah.
Oh my
I think
God.
it was 2023. Yeah.
And I think they'll finally have the sequel. The third film in that series will be out next year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. All right. So we're gonna run this through the way we usually do. We're gonna talk favorite moments, weird plot holes, missed opportunities, maybe things you didn't love on so much. Your season 1 wish list. I'm about 5 episodes in. Ryan has seen the whole thing. So we're going to try to restrict our comments, just really talk about the first episode, kind of whet your appetite, get you interested. So, you know, the spoiler blast is open for the first episode, but we're not necessarily going to dive into anything that comes with. We want to get you interested. And then we'll score the episode 1 to 10 as we often do. So I've been blabbing for 5 minutes. I'm going to kick it over to my esteemed guest. Tell me some things that you enjoyed about this episode, my friend.
Oh, well, like you said, I'm going to keep my comments just to the first episode. Sony finally made a good one. After all of these attempts at doing Spider-Verse live-action spinoffs, the Craven, that we sat through Madam Web and the Venom movies, and we finally got something that said, hey, this is an original concept that's pretty great. Maybe they just start doing their Spider-Verse shit on, can I curse?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I like your drink it. Love your thermos, the MASH 1977. It's a shame that the listeners can't see it.
Redbubble, if I did more video, they could send me money for it.
Hey, there you go. Anyways, so I love that aspect of it. And I also just loved a good multiversal story. We put a video out on Screen Crush, the YouTube channel, yesterday. And it was just a review video where I said, like, look, this shows what the multiverse saga could have been. You could have had all these really fun, different multiverse stories where you take characters and you put them in different circumstances or eras or universes. And they didn't do that. And the multiverse saga is about to end. And that's a shame because I'm kind of seeing what's possible with projects like Spider-Noir.
Totally. Absolutely. Nicolas Cage, it's funny. I can also kind of take him or leave him. I mean, he's given us so much stuff that's campy. He's an Academy Award winner with Leaving Las Vegas and just absolutely kind of all over the place. But he's chewing the scenery from the first word. You know, somebody asked me what universe this is. Well, we're all asking that. It's it's nearly his first line. He's having this great voiceover as you see him swinging. Am I an extraordinary man? Yes, I am.
And he understood the assignment. He knew they're doing noir, they're doing Bogart, they're doing this kind of like very stylized comic strip version of the character. And I think he's perfect in it. It's hard to imagine anyone else playing this part.
Right. Yeah. No. I totally agree. Lamorne Morris. I follow a podcast that Jake Johnson does. That Lamorne shows up kind of all the time. I love his stuff. And I like a different take on Robbie Robertson. I'm a very traditionalist with the Spider-Man comics. I've been reading them since I was 40. For 40 years since I was 10. Excuse me.
I was going to say, since you were 40. Yeah. The first 39 years I was alive, I didn't really pick it up. But
really.
My midlife crisis was comic books.
I love it. No, but yeah, Robbie Robertson was always a very fatherly figure, city editor at the Daily Bugle and, giving, Peter advice and all this different stuff. So it's kind of neat to see him as just kind of a younger, hipper, kind of normal face in the crowd. I mean, he's got some struggles early in the series just to kind of find out where he belongs. I love the character of Janet, and I don't know if that is an original character. I don't recall that from the comics I've read.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I've read some of the miniseries, but probably not all of them. There is a current 5-issue series by Eric Larson, who we recently had on the show.
I love Eric Larson. He's cool as hell. Yeah.
But I don't know that I finished it. I am, and comic shop guys kind of give me the side eye, but I tend to use Marvel Unlimited to catch up with reading comics just because it's
Oh,
just so hard.
mhm.
Yeah, I
It
know
is.
I get the big boo, but I still spend money there. I still do go in there and
Mhm.
collect comics. I just don't do as much for the modern stuff. But but I love it. She's really delightful. She's really quippy. She really kind of, like you said, fits the mold. And is exactly, she's standing by her man, her boss in this case, as kind of the gal Friday vibe. So yeah, I totally dug it. What's something else that really grabbed you?
Oh, in the first episode, not to take it back too much to Cage, but like I said, he really kind of nailed the tone, the wisecracking nature of these films. He's always cracking wise. He's always got a comment ready, and honestly, just the look. I mean, I don't know what the budget of this show was, but the fact that they were able to do it in color and black and white, but the color really pops. Most streaming shows are really bland.
Right.
This one really, it looks like the cover of a pulp magazine, and you're really immersed in this alternate 1930s New York. And I don't, it doesn't look like they filmed it on the volume. It might be a lot of green screen sets and kind of Art Deco painted backgrounds, but it is one of the best looking Marvel TV shows I've ever seen.
Yeah. No, I totally loved that. What did you think about the spin on the Sandman? I thought that was very unique because the Sandman, God, going back to, I think it's Amazing Spider-Man 4, so he's like one of Spider-Man's earliest villains, was always this kind of dumb criminal. He's wearing that stupid green sweater and not really a mobster, not really dapper, not really having a romantic interest. So they kind of plugged that in with the Thomas Hayden Church version of the character in the much unloved Spider-Man 3 in 2007. But they had to give him some backstory because he's always just been kind of a bland character. Where they've kind of stepped him up. He's kind of a gangster with a heart of gold, but he's holding a secret that we find that, right when we kick off the series, we get a villain who can start fire. He has a firepower, and I don't know if they're adapting him to the Molten Man. I don't think so. I'm not sure exactly. Though we do see as the series goes on other classic Spidey villains, and I won't drop any names, though some things have appeared in the trailers. But as I said, I want to keep it kind of vague. Are in kind of non-traditional roles, but they all kind of we tend to find out they all tend to kind of share a little bit of common background as we move forward. So I love that adaptation. I love Cat Hardy, which is obviously an adaptation of Felicia Hardy, the Black Cat, kind of jammed it together. But
Who,
I wrote that
her musical number is to be seen in the color version. It looks fantastic.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think I wanted to watch it again in color today, but my office TV wouldn't cooperate. So if I watch it a third time, I'll definitely do it in color.
There you go.
But what about the color kind of makes that pop? Is there something like effects going on?
I think just high
like
contrast. I mean, not high saturation. I mean, it already had high contrast because of the black and white. Something about Nicolas Cage in this movie. I think his drawn face just looks better in shades of gray. You mentioned Sandman earlier, and I don't want to give anything away, but Jack Houston plays the part, and he was great in Boardwalk Empire as a World War I vet. And one thing I think that's interesting about this version of Spider-Noir is that he is older. And in the comics, he's not really that much older than typical Peter Parker. So in this show, and we see this in the trailers, but he is a World War I vet. And they take, like, at the beginning of the series in his opening narration, he talks about losing the love of his wife and the trauma associated with that, and how there's a scene where he puts on the mask and he remembers her and he has to take it off. And the show does a great job of tying that narrative to the stories of vets coming home from the war and not getting the support that they had. And like I said, I'm not going to give anything away, but it's a show that manages to both be a fun comic book show with a different tone, but also still resonate with a lot of themes that unfortunately are still kind of present today.
Right. Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah. I didn't even really think it through in that regard, but I totally agree. All right. Anything else on the positive tip you want to toss in there before we get maybe slightly critical? Because I overall absolutely love this.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Anything else on the positive end? There's a lot to talk about in this first episode. And right now I'm currently scrubbing through the episode so I can remember, so I don't forget anything. I'll tell you something, a little tidbit, little Easter egg that I didn't talk about in our video. So the guy who plays the Heavy for Silvermane, Brendan Gleeson's amazing, by the way.
Yeah.
And we do see, by the way, the Molten guy is a World War I vet. He has a dog tag, an old-fashioned dog tag on his toe. So that ties in there. so the guy who plays his main heavy, the one, and it follows all these fun detective tropes, the hard-boiled detective in the office, the femme fatale, all that stuff. But the guy who comes into his office, do you remember back in the 80s, there was a movie called The Lady in White and another one called Solar Babies?
Okay.
And they both starred this creepy looking kid with giant eyes. So that's him. So I saw
Lucas Haas, right?
Like, yeah.
From Witness, also from Witness, Harrison Ford movie.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. And I had no idea his career continued past the 80s, but I'm looking at this guy and going, holy crap, that's the same kid.
He was. I love the early 2000s Fox show 24. I talk about it absolutely all the time. Mm-hmm. He was in an episode of that where he was a computer hacker who got the snot beaten out of him, and Jack saved his life. Jack, the main character, saved his life at the last moment. That's one of the few things I can think of seeing him in. So he's just But you're right. He's the guy with the big. Who was that? Who was that painter who always had the painting of the characters with the big eyes?
Oh, I don't remember the woman. They made a movie about it.
Yes, exactly. That's
called Big Eyes.
That's who he makes me think of. So, so shifting over and kind of thinking about like, well, things are a little fuzzy. Maybe to get clear on. I'm a little fuzzy on the Spider's power set. So he's definitely older. So could that have something to do with it? We kind of saw that with like Jessica Jones, for example, in season 2 of Daredevil Born Again. Her powers are a little wonky. So his Spider. Yeah, his spider sense is kind of overpowering. Like he'll get a buzz in the back of his head and he'll shake like it'll throw him. Where our Peter Parker Spider-Man is able to use it in combat and helps him dodge bullets and things like that. And his reflexes sometimes tight, sometimes not so much. Sure. He kind of gets the snot beaten out of him a lot, but other times he's got spider strength. The webbing was a little. It took me a minute to figure out he does actually have web shooters, because we got a reference not in this episode that shows that he doesn't have it's not a Toby Spider-Man where they're organic, or at least that was the vibe I got. So it was a little fuzzy, but it's not even necessarily detracting overall. It's just as a nitpicker spider file, I was like, well, that's not quite, because I think to look at the character from the comics, I believe he did follow the more traditional Peter Parker power set, but he also wasn't 62, which is how old Cage is. So having an older Spider-Man is interesting. The only other older Spider-Man that I can think of is within the context of the Spider-Verse, the 2014 series that kind of introduced the big Web of Life multiverse thing, was a version of Uncle Ben who got bit by the spider and survived. And so he was probably
in the Ultimate Universe, Peter Parker, the current Ultimate Universe, Peter Parker's in his 40s and has kids, and he becomes Spider-Man at an older age. Right. There's also, you mentioned not to keep harping on the veteran thing, but the way his spider sense kicks in, I think, is framed like shell shock or post-traumatic stress disorder. Yeah. It causes him pain.
Yeah.
Which,
Yeah, no, I totally agree. So, I kind of walked back this comment and I said, is Cage right for this part? But the more I watch, the more I like it. It kind of works because you get the Mandalorian effect. You have a face actor, you have a body and helmet mask actor, and then you have a fight or a stunt actor, which, speaking of Mando in particular, Lateef Crowder does those fights. We actually had him on the show not that long ago. Very, 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 very interesting guy, very talented guy. So yeah, it's in full effect. You can really, in as the series goes on, as illustrated by the trailers, you do get to see more of the spider in effect. So I'm really hope I'm not giving that away. But this first episode really just has to do with Nicolas Cage's performance and kind of figuring out where he lays. And you're right, using the tropes, but playing into the tropes, but kind of using them effectively. So. Silvermane, it was a hard switch because Silvermane, the comic character, was this grizzled old kind of Italian mobster where, we have obviously Brendan Gleeson
has a robot body, right? Doesn't he have a
robot
body?
He does. It's one of the, you can't see it on the other side here, but I have my menagerie of action figures, and a Silvermane action figure produced in the last couple of years just has him as the robot body with the person head. So yeah, I don't know why they had to change that, but I suppose I don't really care because Brendan Gleeson really does it. He leans harder into that accent that I would expect, but it's okay. Like everything that I would almost be quasi-critical about still somehow works. I just don't even know what to say.
I don't even really have notes on this episode or this series, to be honest with you. Now, I did kind of have to speed run through it just for the sake of my job, but when I watched it through, it seemed like it's a show where the writers were fully in command and they knew what they were doing. And what I mean by that is you watch a lot of these superhero projects and you can see the studio with their thumb on the scale in terms of budget or content, or, well, no, we want this character to show up, or we need you to film this thing on the volume. These big IP things all tend to suffer from the same problem, which tends to be business people get involved where they shouldn't. And this show, you can tell the writers got together, they had an agreed upon tone and concept, and they probably mapped it against existing tropes. And then they found a way to take those tropes and then perfectly apply the superhero universe of Spider-Man to it. And there's an actor who comes in a few episodes who just does this perfect transatlantic accent, and really owns this kind of snarling villain role. Every aspect of this, it was so much fun to watch every single step of the way.
Yeah, absolutely correct. So, all right. So let's we'll do a little suspension of disbelief. Let's say you and I have just watched this first episode, and at the end, scene. And this with many shows that are obviously dropped all or completed obviously at the time that they come out, they give this season on, and so they give us a nice montage that goes on for a couple of minutes, like here are clips of what's coming up. So either based around that, or even just based on like, hey man, I just love what I saw, and what do I want to see? So if you're in this persona that you're projecting what you'd like to see down the road, kind of what's on your list of things that you'd like to see happen in the season as the uninitiated person who's only seen one episode?
Well, one thing, and you can tell this from the trailer, we've already mentioned Sandman. We saw a villain with fire powers. There's a lot of other Spider-Man villains that are adapted. Again, they're in the trailer, but I'll pretend like I haven't seen the trailer. For me, I look at it and go, well, gee, what other villains would be really interesting to see in this, right? There are characters who, like the Vulture is kind of obvious, because if you apply that 1930s thing, there's the mechanical wings that he could build for himself. And in the comics, Spider-Man Noir gets his powers from a magical amulet. So you could apply mysticism to a lot of these characters and bring them in that way. The Green Goblin, especially, is somebody who I think there's no mysticism in this episode, but you could do that. Or in the 1930s, I think you can look at what other kinds of stories are being told. So, one of the cool things about the best comic book stories, I think, are when they mash up genres, or they take, like, say, Steve Rogers and put him in 3 Days of a Condor, like they did in Winter Soldier. What if we said, okay, the 1930s, you have War of the Worlds. So maybe there is a kind of alien threat that's making people paranoid, and it's Venom. You could apply things that way. And we already see Nicolas Cage in this show has this darker side, more cynical edge. He smokes, if you can believe it. So that's kind of where I would like to see them go. I'd like to see other villains that maybe don't even appear this season, and see how they put that fun 1930s twist on them.
Yeah, I dig it. Yeah, I would, and obviously we're teeing up a big mystery as we find out, like, what happened with Silvermane's mansion burning down? Who did it? Why? Why did, we have a villain introduced, the guy who, the flame guy obviously did it. Well, he got shot away. There's no answers there. Why does Sandman look, in pain and in horror every time he's manifesting his powers, so completely out of his control, which is totally contrary to the versions of the character that we've seen not only in the comics, but in animated films and in live action films. Why is that? You know what I mean? So, like I said, I'm on episode 5 of 8. You've seen them all. So I'm really bracing for the twists of why those things are happening. It's going to lead us right up to this big reveal. And I'm hoping it's something, we'll get twists and turns, we'll get red herrings, but I'm hoping it's something that'll be truly like, oh my God, I didn't see that coming.
It's fun. It's an actual mystery, isn't it? Like we don't normally get that. It's usually kind of easy to see where things are going, or sometimes like with the Marvel Disney Plus shows, I would go, oh, well, it's pretty obvious that they want us to think it's this, but it'll be something. And it was just that, like you didn't have to overthink it,
Yeah, exactly. Correct. All right. The final countdown, episode 1 score, 1 to 10. Where do you land?
I would say a solid 8. And the only reason I don't give it a full 10 is because there's probably things in the episode that aren't in there that would have made it better, but it's really hard to judge something by what's not there. But for me, it's an intriguing pilot. It pulled me in, and it's not the best episode of the season.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, Yeah, for me, yeah, I actually I landed at that same 8 out of 10. This is this is quite a caveat. Easily, just like you kicked off at the top, the best live action non MCU piece that Sony somehow like they fell into this ass backwards. I don't have any idea how they made
left them
something.
alone. I think they left them alone. I think they were like, oh, it's an Amazon show. It doesn't matter. We'll drop it in one day. It's it's not going to be a huge deal. And then lo and behold, when you let people work and you're not trying to build a cinematic universe where it has something to do with Spider-Man, I think, suddenly you can make something really good.
Yeah, which is exactly what we got. So Nicolas Cage, he's both overacting and not overacting his way through this, and it works regardless. So yeah, it's the 1977 Nicholas Hammond Spider-Man. It's forgotten because you can only really find it on YouTube. The Japanese Spider-Man, you can forget. This is the benchmark of Spider-Man in live action television. So I'm super psyched. It's obviously it's getting huge raves, though that doesn't guarantee any future to it. So, as an insider yourself, have you heard anything about the future of this? Or is that still in the offing?
No, I haven't heard a thing. I usually get my news from the same place everybody else does. I don't know anybody at Sony. I get whispers sometimes about.
I get my news from you, so I guess then.
Oh shoot! Yeah,
I'll get it third hand. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, no, there's some great speakers out there. Daniel RPK is a really good one. He usually has some good stuff, but as far as I know, he hasn't said anything on it yet.
Yeah, I mean it's only been a couple of days, so yeah, I'm sure it's time.
They may not want to do another season. Honestly, I kind of hope they don't. I mean, as much as I would like to see the universe expand, how great is just going, yeah, we made this cool thing, and now we're moving on to do something else. Like you said, Cage is 62, loves comic books, lifelong comic book fan, but he may not want to continue doing this. He's got other stuff lined up, and maybe he wants that second Oscar. Who knows?
Right. I love it. Good stuff. Well, yeah, this has been totally awesome. Thank you so much for being here with me. It's kind of a feather in my cap to have someone of your esteem join our little program. So I'm really psyched. That's good. But for the obvious, but spell it out for it. Where do people find you if they want to hear more about your thoughts on the world of pop culture?
I'm on Screen Crush all the time. And I also have a Substack that I really need to be on more often. I'm sorry to my Substack subscribers who are listening. I got some great shit planned, but just the Screen Crush thing, man, it keeps me really busy.
Yeah, I hear you. Cool. Very good. And listeners, as you know, I do handle the social medias for our network, Secret Friends Unite, which you can find on all the big socials with the exception of X and TikTok. I don't really mess around with those. And I am my personal stuff as at the C3, TheCeeThree. You can find me at all those places. But also secretfriendsunite@gmail.com. Let us know if you've watched this show, what you think of our comments, because we would love to feature your comments on a future program. So again, Ryan, man, thank you for being here. This has been totally awesome.
Thank you. This has been fun.
All right. And friends, thanks for tuning in. I'm going to tell you as always that sharing is caring, and to keep on trucking.
This podcast is part of the Secret Friends Unite podcasting network, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and podcast services around the galaxy, as well as video on our YouTube channel. You can support Secret Friends Unite by becoming a Patreon member, get bonus programs and more over at patreon.com/secretfriendsunite. Join our Discord community for even more discussions on all things geek. For all the latest updates on Secret Friends Unite, make sure to follow us on Threads at secret.friends.unite and visit secretfriendsunite.com. Find our merchandise at TeePublic and Redbubble. Thanks for listening, and may the Force live long and prosper.